Alright, well now's like the time. If you want to add any stickers or any sort of vinyl or colors, this would be the time to add it before you start getting all your stuff glued in, because now you got a blank slate to work with. I'm thinking about throwing some of this on. This is some blue translucent Ultracoat. Really staticky in here. I don't know if this stuff's just staticky in general, I suppose. Trying to get it stuck to your piece. There we go. Laid on there pretty nice. Alright, let's see what happens. Never done this before. I mean, I did it with some other stuff, some monocoat, but I think Ultracoat's better. So let's see how this turns out. Well, it looks like it's going on like laminate for the most part here, so let's see if it continues that trend. And if this don't work, you just tear it off and put something else on. That's all you gotta do. Alright, here we are. This is Ultracoat, translucent blue. Looks pretty cool, honestly. Went on pretty good. It's a little harder to put on than laminate though, I'll say that. I don't think it added like any weight. I weighed it in at 64 grams. I'll go weigh it right now and see what it is. Alright, so I just got back from weighing it. Beforehand was 66 grams. Now it's 72 grams. So only a 6 gram difference just by putting this on. It's going to give it a lot more color in the sky, I think. Yeah, I think it turned out pretty cool. So the next step we're going to do is actually glue in our motor mount. This is a 3D printed mount. I know the kit includes like a foam mount. It would go on almost identical. So keep that in mind. And then yeah, let's put this one in. Pretty simple. Just grab your goop. Lay a bead right inside this opening here. Well, get all three sides. It's a pretty important spot. You want to get all that in there. And then what you can do too is kind of smear it on the openings of the motor mount itself. Alright, so now we're ready to put her in. Everything's glued up. So, yep, throw her on in. Just make sure you're straight. You can use the center line as a point of reference on where you need to be. Alright, camera mount, same thing. Literally just glue it right in. Alright, cam and motor mount installed. I would let this sit overnight before touching them really. Yeah, they'll move a little bit. Yep, so do that, and then the next step is we're going to do our electronics. So should be pretty quick from there, and we'll get this thing up in the air before you know it. So stay tuned. Alright, so I got the camera mount on and then the motor mount on, and then I attached my motor with a 2mm, I don't know, probably by 20mm screw. Holds in pretty good. And the next thing we're going to do is put our servos in. But the first thing you got to do is you got to center your servos. A couple different ways to do that. You can do it with a servo centering tool such as this. Right now you have it so you can have a dial. So you got full left, full right, and then you can center it. This centers them pretty good, and as long as you leave them both on the same setting, it's got 3 ports on this thing. A little bit. Got 3 ports on this, just center both of them. So there's that. There's another way to do it as well, is once you get your electronics plugged in, you can actually just plug them into your receiver and make sure everything's zeroed on your radio, and you can do it that way too. As soon as you plug in a servo to your receiver, well, it's got 5 volts on it, it'll center itself once you're bound up and everything. So that's the other way to do it, but this is just convenient because it's all remote and you don't have to wait to solder stuff onto your receiver. So then the next thing you want to do is get your servos, put them both up, make sure your horns are opposite and try to get them as close as you can. You're not always going to get these perfect, mainly because the teeth don't allow it. Sometimes they're a little off, but that's okay. You got sub trim in your radio, so you can get them back to center. The key is to get these mostly centered. So after those are done, you can pretty much unplug this stuff. You need to put your screw in the horn here. There's a small screw that comes in the pack. Make sure you screw this on before you go farther. I almost missed that step. Alright, so back to gluing these in. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put them in, and then I'm just going to put a layer of hot glue right over the top of this thing. Just on the edges, and that's it. That makes it so then I can use isopropyl alcohol, and I can hit it with that, and then it'll actually release the glue, and then I can pull a servo out and replace it if I need to replace it ever. Make sure your servo horns move freely inside of this. Like I said, we enlarged the pocket kind of by the servo horn in general, so we should have free movement. Just so you know. And then you also have to cut slits in your monocoat. You could have done this a different way, but since I want to make it serviceable, I want to cut the slits in here. Kind of where we cut them before. I believe I cut them up and over, and then I went straight down. You should be able to find kind of where you made it. Once you start running your knife down the foam, it'll kind of find the pocket that you made earlier. So hot glue gun, it seems to be hot enough here, so let's just glue in. I'm just going to do a bead on each side of this. Probably a little bit in the front too. A little bit. Screw it, I guess we're going to just go all the way around it. Just try to smooth it out. Just need it to hold in place. Perfect. Okay. And the next thing is we're going to install our servo or clevises here. Try to make sure they're parallel with the servo head itself. So you'll just have to eyeball it, otherwise you can measure it out. I'll probably just end up eyeballing it. And I dent this in, and then I know where to make my cut. Do the same on this side. I'm going about halfway down the elevon. Figured it'll stick out just enough at the bottom or at the midway point of the elevon. So that's done. I've never actually pushed these through before, so I might just drill a couple holes and then try to clear it out with a screwdriver, and then we'll get these fitted in and snapped into place. It's really easy drilling through ball stuff. You can almost probably cut through this with a knife. I figured we'll just drill a couple here so I know where to cut with a knife. Okay, got a skinny knife here to try to get our slit as small as possible on each side here. Try to get it started. Yeah, I think the way this servo thing, or the servo clevis will should be able to just shove it right through, is my guess. Yep, oh, that clipped in nice. Yeah, drilling the holes helped, I think. Kind of getting it wide. Oh, wow, that was slick. So there it is. See how they're lined up to the servos? Kinda. It's alright. They don't need to be perfect. Because we're just gonna, I got these different ends. These are from some other plane. So I'm gonna cut them a little bit so then I can actually install them on here. Should be pretty sweet. Oh, and then put your little retaining clips on the back of these. Holds it on tight. Yeah, it's like a zip tie. Works pretty good. These are like overkill for a plane like this. Nice. And I assume you can probably cut these short. I didn't grab my flush cuts, but you can probably cut them short. They're sticking out a little bit. Okay. But I do need to cut these shorter. Gotta get them even too. There's a few different things you can do too. You can do these E-bends, they're free. Otherwise they got these Servo linkage stoppers. They're like these little set screw things. They work really good, and they're like fully adjustable. This is just cheap. Okay. Kind of zip it in there. Oh yeah, nice. Good choice. Okay. And the most outer hole on here, we're done. Do the same thing on this one. Wrong side here. Perfect. And then you might need to adjust these. Nice part about these are fully adjustable. You can screw them in or out. Boom. You can plug them in, even show you they work. They are working. Nice. Good amount of throw on them too. Perfect. There's a done deal on that step. So that's how you do that. Next, we're going to install the rest of the electronics. It's going to require some soldering. So I might actually just bring you down to the workbench and we'll do it all down there.